It's March the 12th, 2018. I'm Dana Durnford, your host, the Nuclear Proctologist. .org, and you can find these videos now at the Nuclear Proctologist on YouTube instead of Beautiful Girl by Dana. Thanks to the savageness of the nuclear industry, the gobblish academics and journalists on this planet. Speech is only allowed if you were lying, manipulating, deceptive, deceitful, dishonest, and disingenuous monster. Truth has no place in history for these monsters, because that makes them realize they're monsters. The truth makes them weak, turns them in their children's eyes to the cowards that they actually are. The live chat is open. I started up just before we went live. Thanks to the gobblish industry, we can't even have a conversation without moderation. Because they're so pathetic. They're such cowards. The entire nuclear industry is a plague upon humanity and the other 8 million species. Just like journalism now and academics is like the Black Plague. You know, you're talking to evil when they tell you they're a journalist or they're an academic. You know, they're a coward, they're a traitor to their friends and their family and humanity. And that they have no purpose, only misery and agony and poverty and impoverishment and destruction. They don't even look like normal people. When you meet a journalist or an academic, you know right away they're an idiot, that they're a monster. You don't need them to tell you they're a journalist or an academic for you to know that. How fucking dare you? How dare you do that to me? Take away my freedom of speech like that. How dare you? You cowards. You unbelievable traitors. You monsters. Not only do they come and give me 30 thumbs down to 60 thumbs down before the video even starts, my live streams. Because that's what cowards do. They don't debate you. They try everything to stab you in the back. Every chance they get, they take a stab at your back. Is that what you want for your children? A history and a legacy of nothing but cowards running your planet, feeding your media? How did journalists become so evil and ugly and deceptive? How did academic become such a dirty word? How did academics become something we need to fear? We actually need to fear our universities and our media. I mean, like, fear them. You think of fear as in street gangs or murderers or criminals. They have nothing on your journalists. They're like flowers compared to journalists and academics. Dana's in a good mood today. So another strike on my main account with 22,000 subscribers. That took me 8 years to build that. 8 years of hard work, and you take it away so that you can pretend to your friends and families that you're human. How disgusting. How did you become that evil? I don't understand it. I can't wrap my mind around how you could be that evil. That your solution is to destroy the truth so that you can pretend that you're somebody. That you're somehow something, some part of something better by killing the planet and allowing it to die. Your job to moderate me in the government and police departments who gave me 6 gag orders so you couldn't know the difference of who evil actually is. How does that work? You wake up every morning, I gotta go find out what Dana's doing. He could be telling the truth. How did we ever get to that spot? Now, the colors you're seeing in this video, let me turn that down a snot. I'm going to play a little video for you because I took it down the other day. The colors are not accurate, but anyway, this is my first kick at the spinnaker. Well, this is my 3rd try that morning, mind you. I finally get it up. This is usually 3 people to do this job. I want to play it again. Because we took down the video and there's no record of it. So I need a record out there. So people can appreciate.
Let's see how that rocks.
There's barely any wind, 1 or
knots.
2 mile wind. And I'm doing 2 knots. Just a short minute to go or something. And so the idea is to bring the bottom of the sail level. So I'm going to tie it down as an experiment on a cleat. See if that'll increase the speed. You can see the boat turning right away. Oops. And that's very dangerous because it could collapse and cause catastrophe, wrap around stuff, and destroy the sail. There's so many things can go wrong when that happens. So I work all day, I take risk all day to save their lives and the planet and to inform the population because nobody on the planet is willing to do it.
So we got the big boy up. Kinda.
But there it is, it's up. Now the color is enhanced, so it's not the right color. It's like a 30 or 40-year-old spinnaker. But who cares? You know what I mean? You mean what I know. It's just so heartbreaking. I put 8 years into my YouTube channel and they destroy me with a flick of a switch. They send a letter off to a public relations firm and say, take it down, which is Google. And I have no way of appealing it. They can just do whatever they want. Erase my last 8 years of incredible work. Because that's what they're so evil. They're so vicious. Press coverage of nuclear is so negative that Trump appointee says propaganda is needed. But the press coverage of nuclear is not evil or negative. They put it on a pedestal and they silenced the only person here who's actually negative about nuclear. This is like saying you got to do more propaganda to save the mass murder machine, which has killed the Pacific Ocean. And propaganda is needed. Well, an assassin is needed to deal with these people. And that'll come down the road, I can assure you. On Tuesday, one of President Trump's appointees at the Department of Energy complained about recent media coverage of nuclear energy and promised to do something about it. Recent coverage? You just killed the entire Pacific Ocean. You killed the Pacific Ocean. You killed the Pacific Ocean, and you got 30 million one-ton bags in Japan, and you're growing food there. You're sending in the homeless, the destitute, and the victims of society instead of Harvard, Yale, Berkeley, Stanford, Oxford, MIT, and the rest of them. You're just... Everything about the nuclear industry and journalists and academics is revolting. There's no such thing. There's not a single academic on the planet anybody could trust. And so should I sell everything I got and start up a newspaper? Hire journalists, get it up and running and get out and counter these people as get actual journalists because nobody on the planet is willing to listen to the truth. We can't find a journalist that's telling the truth. The only thing to do is create the media and get journalists and get them to tell the truth. Hold a gun to their head and say, now tell the truth or I'll fucking shoot you. Because that's the only way you're going to get the truth. They're growing rice in these fields right alongside the bags. Like you don't pick up bags after forest fires or after coal plants melt down. Well, not that a coal plant can melt down and catch fire or have an accident. Like we just wiped out the Pacific Ocean. Everything is emaciated and starving to death. All the killer whales that are left out there are emaciated. Oh, I seen a killer whale. Yeah, but you don't even know what it looks like healthy, do you? You don't have a clue. You see something with a fin on it and you're like, I seen a whale, Dana. And I'll say, I seen an idiot to my friends. They said they seen a whale and they don't even know what it looks like originally. So it must be okay. You're going to see more positive stories featured in it. So they're saying we got to get out and lie, and that's called positive features of nuclear. Certainly media coverage of nuclear power has been tough. You just killed the Pacific Ocean. What do you mean tough? This is nonsense just before the 7th anniversary. Belgium hands out millions of iodine pills in case of a nuclear accident. They can't help you. You got to run away and leave everything behind, including your pets and your property and your graveyards and your communities permanently. Like, why would you have it here? You can see why they're silencing someone like me, because there is nobody like me. There is nobody like you that's willing to listen to the truth. You're the resistance. There was also the leaked study that found nuclear plants were closing because of unfavorable market condition. Because the cost of uranium and operating the plants was so prohibitively expensive, you couldn't do it without bankrupting a country. This was the whole ideology of nuclear. Bankrupt a country, control the media, which was easy, just buy up the local medias, fire anybody you didn't like, and replace them with people that were known bootlicking, cheerleading lapdogs. That didn't take very long. As soon as you set people free with enough money, they went out and bought everything and then converted it into public relation firms. Everybody gets the same headline at the same time, with the same pictures, the same author, who, by the way, when it comes to nuclear, rarely puts their name on a story. This one they did. The most of 90% or 99% of the nuclear stories in the last couple of months have no names on them for our journalists, because they're so ashamed that their children will find out what they've done in the near future. They're not ashamed of what they've done. They're just ashamed that their children might find out. No, nuclear plants were closing because everybody's terrified of them. Keep rolling. Coal in India. Yeah, nuclear power, as you know, it is finished. See, let it be written that environmentalists didn't kill the nuclear power industry. You dream on. Well, that's exactly what happened. We killed the nuclear industry right here. We did. Our work. We brought the information to the table in formats that were kind of digestible for the population. I'm not freaking out. I'm only freaking out because of the death of the Pacific Ocean and the unbelievable, deceptive industry known as universities and media. Truly the worst people on the planet. Truly the most. Al-Qaeda got nothing on a journalist. The Mujahideen got nothing on an academic. ISIS got nothing on a university professor sending out students with an ideology to kill the planet for the nuclear industry so they can get a paycheck. It's not until they're older they really appreciate how evil they are. A nuclear student is your worst enemy. A nuclear university is something to fear. A pro-nuclear organization is something to fear. How did we ever get to this position? Because you refuse to hold anybody accountable. See, anybody can do what I'm doing, but everybody's unwilling to try. They're not even willing to try. I begged and fought for the ability to buy the equipment so I could learn to do it. I didn't sit in silence. I went to war because I had to, because you wouldn't. Look at us now. We're destroyed. Nuclear power, as we know it, is finished. I like that sentence. Let it be written, prick says, that environmentalists didn't kill the nuclear power industry. Economics did. No, they didn't. The nuclear killed itself. And environmentalists stomped. Like, I would go piss on your grave every day if I could find it. Trust me. Every day I wake up, I go over and piss on your fucking grave, I can find you. So I posted the preamble for a live stream. I reposted the live stream, and within just a few minutes, I had 19 thumbs down. from one person desperate to silence me because they work for the nuclear industry. Not because they're willing to debate the things I say in the video, but because they work for the nuclear industry. Fukushima eager to get kids back in school, and the schools are right here alongside of this stuff. How did we get to the point where a journalist is not willing to have the conversation, is not willing to tell the story? How did I ever get to the place where I got to tell the story? Fukushima eager to get the children back into school, brand new school, with 4 kids in it. With little progress in the return of children, just 4 children study in a 3rd grade classroom at the Fukushima prefecture. You know why? Because their parents got to drive past that. And somehow or another, that managed to penetrate their brain. It's been 7 years since the accident in Tokyo Electric Power Company, nuclear power plant, Fukushima. And more elementary and junior high schools are reopening. Instead of saying, we got no idea why schools are reopening in the most radiated place on the planet, but they are. No, they come out and put it up like, well, we don't understand why the kids don't want to go get poisoned. How did we get this evil? How did we get this sick? How does this work? How do journalists call themselves something good? How can journalists pretend that they're human like us? How can their family pretend that they're human? How can a journalist's friends look themselves in a mirror? How can an academic drive a car down the same road with everybody else without killing themselves? How can a university professor not kill themselves every morning? How can they wake up in the morning, walk into a bathroom, look in the mirror and say, I'm a person, when you know you're not? When you know you're just a monster. That's all you are. 5 towns and villages joins the list this spring, bringing 9 the number of municipalities where classes have resumed. How does a journalist write an article like this without saying, in the most radiated place on the fucking planet, stupid schools and teachers are nothing but monsters? But say it eloquently like a journalist is supposed to do. For municipalities in Fukushima, the return of households with young children is critical. It's critical, is it? Not picking up 30 million one-ton bags. No, that's not critical. Critical is tricking children into going to school. And critical, like the reason that the children are going to, everything is so bad is because journalists are monsters. Building new school buildings, offering free school lunches, launching pickup and drop-off bus services, these hugely expensive projects to boost attendance hint at the desperation of your local media. Desperation of local government. Why not include a picture like that? Where you flew past the bags. Oh, we can't stop taking a picture. We're going to keep going. Too dangerous. How did we get this evil? Numerous kids are bussed in. Yeah, and on the way in, they're looking at that. When they walk out their door in the morning, they're looking at that. How did you get that evil? How do you get this evil? And then the only voice out there, me, has to be silenced so that they can feel that they're not evil for a little while. How do you get that sick? That disgusting? That despicable? How can you look a child in the eye ever again? How can you look your family in the eye again, being a journalist? How can you look anybody and say, I'm a journalist? You get knocked out, you say to me, hi, Dana, I'm a journalist. Bang. Ah, crap. That was fast. A selection show was held that chose new school uniforms at the temporary school building for Lydia Junior High School in one of the most radioactive places. This place here was like 29 million becquerels a square meter, still is. I can't rationalize how a journalist and an academic and school teachers could be this fucking evil. How does that work? Like, how does that work? How'd you wake up one morning and say, I know I'm going to spend my whole life deceiving children tricking them, manipulating them, bringing them into the most radiated place. And then I'm going to get a big paycheck and pretend to everybody that I ever talk to each day in my community, this is a journalist and an academic, that I'm a good person. But I'm not going to tell people what I'm doing. I'm going to say, no, there's nothing there. Both uniforms were designed free of charge by a famed designer, Hiroko Kushino. How did that person become so stupid that they knew that developing uniforms for a place that's so radiated to trick the children is not evil? How did they come to the conclusion that that was acceptable? A new combined elementary and junior high school building with construction costing a total of 3.5 billion yen is ready. A brand new building to trick the children into going to the school cost $32 million. That's the conversion. 3.5 billion yen to US dollars to trick children into going into the most radiated environment. And before it could even be built, it was completely radiated. By the time it's built, it's surrounded, completely 100% surrounded by ghost towns and walls upon walls of radiation. But somehow, it's okay to send the children there because you're a journalist. It's okay to lie about it because you're an academic. It's okay to pretend it's not happening because you work for the nuclear industry or you make money from it. It's okay to silence people like me because that gives you a paycheck. It's okay to murder the children because you're better than everybody. In 5 municipalities, where elementary and junior high schools reopen locally, the journalist is not able to say why all the animals perished all around them in their stalls. Why the children have to be exposed to incredible, unbelievable, inconceivable. If you were in Toronto or you were in New York City and you were driving past, sending your children past these bags, 1-ton bags of radiation each day, you'd fucking speak up, would you? Or am I on a different planet than the one I think I'm on? Because it doesn't feel like I'm on a planet that is worthy of trying to save. $32 million. And so each student is $250,000. They spent $250,000 for each of the students to trick people to come back in. But I got to go do the math myself because they're not going to tell it to you. The journalists don't tell you stuff like this. The majority of students will actually be bussed in from the city of Fukushima. Like, Fukushima looks like this. How is it a journalist can't tell that? Hi to everybody. I know nobody was expecting a stream, but because we're going to be leaving on the expeditions soon, and we'll be gone for many, many months, it's important that I keep rolling. Even if nobody wants to hear it or watch it, I still have to keep going. I have to do that so I have hope. Each local government utilizes the national government's reconstruction budget to construct the school buildings. Each local government utilized the national government's reconstruction budget. None of this would happen, only the government is throwing money at it to make it happen. No, the people who own the shop never went back. The people that grow the rice are growing it because the government is giving them money. The government is pushing the radiated food into the communities, selling it worldwide, to pretend, because they've never found any in 50 million bags, but at the same time, they picked up 30 million 1-ton bags. And they're growing rice. They're farming rice, knocking it down in that particular picture, right alongside the radiation bag. But they can't find any radiation in it. Like, how did we get this stupid, I wonder? You're growing it right there where the radiation is, but you can't find any in it. And a journalist can't tell the difference because that would break the paradigm. And then the only person out there, me, You got to come at me and destroy me the dirtiest ways possible. You can't attack me legitimately with academics or scientists or real journalism. You can't use the real information that I'm showing and say it's not true. You can just smear me and come out and get a bunch of fake ghost accounts and attack me. But there's nobody out there. Everybody attacks me the exact same way. Nobody attacks my narrative. Nobody attacks my documentation with real documentation. Everybody tries to sell you the UN or UNSCLEAR or ERPA or the IAEA's pathetic misdirections. Nobody's willing to try to have the conversation. So at some point in the near future, it's all going to blow up in your faces. And you, for what? You got a job, so you're able to wield power over what I do. Somehow that makes it okay. You got a job, because that's what it is. You're not here because nuclear is actually good. You're here to attack me and try to stop me because you're so fucking evil. Because you're so twisted. Because you're so lost. You think you're powerful because you got a job that can do it. You somehow think it's okay because someone in some industry gave you a job. Therefore, it's okay to be evil. Because you're what? You're incapable of understanding the truth? No, you're just plain evil. Despite such incentives, few children are applying, they're complaining about it. There's actually a sincere feeling of relief. The number of applicants wasn't zero. They were overwhelmed because they sucked all the money from the government that they can get their hands on to build the schools, so they stole as much as they could. Don't get me wrong, they didn't take all the money and build the school. They stole everything they could. And they were so relieved, a handful of people were stupid enough to go to the school. The journalists are incapable of disseminating the information. Can't predict at all what lies ahead and have no ingenious ideas to boost the number of the children. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Being evil is just not enough these days. Thank goodness. In Kawamata, about 400 million yen was spent building a pool with a retractable roof. In the most radiated place on the planet where that's the last thing you want is a retractable roof. $3.7 million to build a pool for 4 kids. 15 students will return to school in April, but none in the 5th grade or under. And the elementary school will be forced to suspend operation if no new children enrolled in the 2019 year. So the kids are on their way to school, and the parents are like, honey, what's in the bag? How come the towns are empty? Why did he run away and leave all the animals to die? How come the supermarkets are full of food and nobody took it? I don't understand. Well, that's because you listen to a journalist or an academic. We officially dumbed down the population to the point where we don't have a population. We got a bunch of chickens running around, waiting for the slaughter. And it's here. It's a slow kill, but it's here. As long as the younger generation children do not return, hometowns will have a hard time recovering. If we can't trick the children into going back into the most radiated place on the planet, the government won't give us any more money to steal. Said the absolute demons. You demons. You disgusting, pathetic demons. You want the children to be excreting radiation. At that point, you'll be happy. Oh, we got them. Yeah, they're excreting radiation. They're done ducks. They'll be dead in a few years. Those residents who've come back are mobilizing. This spring, NAMI will open NAMI Soshi Elementary and Junior High School. Not universities, not colleges, not trade institutions where you learn to weld or be a carpenter, because nobody with an education is going to go near those places. You go after the children, and the journalists enable you. You're revolting. A journalist is somebody to be revolted. When someone tells you to journalist, you should puke over them by reflex, I would imagine, in the near future. Hi, everybody. In the comments section, your moderators, Lane, and your Blue. And I'm so heartbroken that I can't find a single journalist I can turn to. Many people who have returned to the town are the elderly. But wait till you get a load of what they're fucking up to. See, you can't move these bags. They're going to just fall apart. They're not even built to last a year. But when they're producing plants like you see here, that's pollen. That's real radioactive pollen. Well, anywhere on any of the ground, any of the plants is radioactive pollen. You can't pick up all these bags without everything being radioactive. Sending children to the most radioactive place on the planet at some point will become a crime, trust me. At some point, the world's going to wake up and just reel in horror of what the nuclear industry is capable. It's not bad enough we're threatened with extinction for nuclear wars. We're now ecociding the entire planet, and we already killed the Pacific Ocean. But hey, Dana's the bad person for being angry about it. Dana's the bad person for lashing out about it. Dana's the bad person for having outburst about it. Dana's a bad person for saying it's fucking wrong. 72-year-old monster says having children there as prisoners, because that's what it is, gives them purpose. Having children in the most radiated place on the planet where nobody should be gives them a purpose. A purpose. Anybody would let their children hang out with Hendizo Sato should have their children taken away from them. Anybody brings their children to Fukushima, even for a visit, is child abuse. NAMI has built a clubhouse inside the school building for children to interact with the locals? For children to interact with the locals. No, I'm not making it up. Somehow people that are so stupid, so demented, so twisted, they're willing to go back to deer, thinks it's okay to have children. Not only that, the teachers are going to build a special clubhouse in the school so the monsters can come in and hang out with the children. Nobody's trying to rescue the children. Nobody's trying to save the children. Try to save a journalist's children. The journalist will probably kill you. In Lydia, there's a plan to start hometown education wherein elderly residents will be invited to teach kids things like how to make local dishes. Local dishes. It's not bad enough you're going to have them prisoners. You're going to feed them the local food. In the most radiated place on the planet. And there's nobody on the planet willing to fight for them. There's no such thing as a journalist. Like, what happened to the word journalism? How did we get that far removed from it that now it means cover up only? In the village of Katsuro, and Lydia, however you pronounce it, I couldn't care less, children will come to school from the places they're evacuated to, such as Fukushima City. Fukushima City. If you go to Fukushima City, you'll see that. If you go to Fukushima City, you're going to see that. If you go to Fukushima City, you're going to see that. Nobody should have been evacuated to Fukushima City. Fukushima should have been evacuated. It's quite taxing on children in the lower grades, says the monsters. The bus drive. Elementary, junior, high schools in the village of Kawachi reopened in the spring of 2012. In the spring of 2012, while they're just starting to pick up the bags that they'll never stop picking up, they decided to restart school. This was the nuclear industry immediately like, how do we get people back? Now, we've covered academics from every major institution on the planet. And when they take down my site with the next strike, then that'll all be gone. And if you want to see it or share it in the future, you better go download it and put it somewhere or stick it on the internet somewhere, because I can guarantee you they're one step away now from taking down my 8 years of work. so they can pretend they're human for just a short while longer. Because you can't hide the death of the Pacific Ocean. Kill me all you want. Kill me every day for the rest of your life. But you can't hide what you got done. Shocking. It's unbelievable that we're having this conversation today. Reopened in spring of 2012. For the 2014 school year, the village started providing $30,000 per month to subsidize yen, which works out to $281 to subsidize high school students' bus fares and lodging costs. In addition to offering free daycare, on top of this, it has set up a system to provide 20,000 yen in monthly aid to families with children aged 3 and under who do not attend daycare. And the village also provided efforts targeting ordinary citizens who live outside of Fukushima prefectures. Ordinary citizens. Targeting ordinary citizens. Think about these words. So people that are in Fukushima are prisoners. Everybody outside of it is an ordinary citizen. It provides 500,000 yen, which is 4,700 US dollars, to relocation expenses for single parent, vulnerable people, households with children in junior high school, age or younger. And introduce a system to subsidize the rent, while they're kicking everybody out of the evacuation centers where they're paying the rent. Oh, if you want to go back, we'll help you pay the rent. But if you want to stay away, we're not going to help you pay the rent. This is not evil. This is unprecedented, malicious, vicious destruction of their entire ecosystem, hid away behind people that are, I don't know a word. There's not a word. I don't think there's a word for it. What's going on here? We don't have a word for this kind of evil. We can call it demons or goblins or monsters, but it still doesn't do it justice. There's no Hollywood movie out there that shows people to be this evil. Hollywood couldn't come up with this on their own. As a result of providing support from everything from finding a job to finding a place to live, 7 households comprising 16 people have relocated to the village from Tokyo. Oh, we promote the village as a place that puts effort into child care and education, said the village spokesperson, due to the slow return of former residents who want to actively attract city dwellers, people who don't know any better. Literally the most horrifying story imaginable, besides this one. Vietnamese claims he was tricked into cleanup work after the Fukushima disaster. Imagine, tricked. Like we've told you about this and warned you about this. This is never going to change. The trainee was employed to do engineering work, but was sent to the nuclear disaster zone. See, he was supposed to be assigned public engineering work, but was instead moved to cleanup work in contaminated areas in the Fukushima prefectures, which exposed him to radiation. He arrived in Japan in September under the government's foreign trainee program. His construction company sent him to Fukushima prefecture more than 10 times to decontaminate residential areas. An engineer was sent in to pick up bags of radiation so they can murder the children later on. And we don't have a single journalist out there that's not a demon or a goblin or a monster. We don't have a single academic on the planet that's not a vicious thug hid away in his university, create more vicious thugs. Said he was not informed he would be cleaning up areas contaminated after the Fukushima disaster. He was not informed. Tsunami disabled the power supply to the 3 Fukushima Daiichi reactors. Oh yeah, and 15 other ones that most likely melted down at the same time. The man's allegations suggest that he might have been deceived and brought to Japan to conduct the cleanup. Yeah, they tricked him into coming to Japan under a program. Come to Japan and get some skills and then ship you into Fukushima. It's just a couple of days ago. The man had received a monthly wage worth around $1,300, while the Japanese workers were getting 3 times that. So the Japanese were making $5,000 a month. The people that they tricked to coming into the country, and they were doing this repeatedly all around the world, getting people who were impoverished, paying their way into Japan so they can murder them. They're still doing it all day, every day. They're going to ramp it up even worse. Now, the company denied that the man's allegation, saying he was assigned to duties that did not expose him to any health issues. See, if you just go to Japan, you get on that bus, and the bus is parked in the parking lot in Osaka, way far away from Fukushima. The bus is so irradiated from all these workers in their paper suits that you're going to get illnesses in the near future because you were on that bus, just sitting on it. The solution is not to pretend that it's not happening. The solution is not to get the most vulnerable people in there. The solution is to kill nuclear immediately. Everything associated, everybody associated with it, put them in a meat grinder. The incidents has sparked a fury over Japan's trainee program, which many said was designed to support foreign nationals in acquiring technical skills, but has been exploited to make up for the shortage of unskilled workers in Japan. That's all they want is unskilled workers. They don't want educated people. You don't see nuclear students or academics or universities sending their alumni, professors, and students and equipment to Fukushima. They're the ones that are going to murder us. Your pro-nuclear industries, your pro-nuclear groups, your pro-nuclear blogs are actual real-life monsters. Confirmed. Now, the mortal enemy of all 8 million species on the planet is anything nuclear. Period. Every journalist now is considered the mortal enemy of everybody on this planet. Every academic is our mortal enemy because they won't speak out. Japanese Minister for Reconstruction said that it is something outrageous and totally illegal. If it's proven true, legal action must be taken. So he's claiming he doesn't know that they're picking up 30 million one-ton bags and sending the most vulnerable in there, and that they're growing food in the most radiated places on the planet now. $320 million ice wall still can't contain the radioactive water. Over 38 meters, 100 feet deep, and 1.6 kilometers long, the structure is meant to stop groundwater from mixing with the radioactive water leaking. 260,000 people to build a 1 mile long underground ice wall, paid for by the taxpayers, because if you built the real wall, that has to be paid for by the shareholders. So the economics became the issue. Well, they can steal money this way, where the other way they got to convince TEPCO to cough it up. Not that TEPCO's got it. They've been absorbed by the government. Just like Arriva in France and Paladin in Australia, Westinghouse in Japan. The structure is meant to stop groundwater. It's not meant to do anything. If it melts, everything goes where? Stupid. An idea seemingly plucked from a comic book. Yeah, that's an appropriate way to look at it. It's an idea, and it was plucked from a comic book, and it has no validity. If you lose power, it's all done. Not only that, why would you build an ice wall? How can you get that stupid? You got to keep it running every year for infinity. You morons. 260,000 people build an ice wall. This is absolutely lies, by the way. 7 years later, radioactive material from Fukushima damaged reactors still contaminate the groundwater and rainfall. Think about those two words. Groundwater and rainfall. Still contaminated. Rainfall. Just these little tidbits. that they don't bother explaining. So they said he put 260,000 people around the nuclear power plant to build the ice wall. No, I'm not making it up. And they're shipping people in on get education programs and bring them in there to work too, on top of that. But they didn't actually do it, right? It would have worked out to $1,100 per person, but you couldn't have built the ice wall because then you couldn't give everybody $1,100 total. 260,000 people. Now they're claiming 95 tons per day is all it's getting through. They're so desperate to lie to you, and the people who tell the lie are so desperate to convince you the lie is obvious and blatant. $9.5 million a year to maintain and operate. Probably cost $9.5 million just to get that much out of the ground. They're picking up bags, or 1-ton bags, what they call radiation, so they can trick people and move people back into the worst place on the planet. So they can pretend that everything is normal. You don't have a single media on the planet to turn to. They just silenced the biggest site on the planet as telling the truth, which was my site. Now I'm on another site with a little over 200 subscribers. Went from 22,000, where they took away 8,000 previous to that on that other site. And they put a bell up in the corner, and you can't even get my videos unless you click the bell. 22,000 subscribers overnight were gone because you didn't click the bell. They've done every dirty trick on the planet to kill the planet. And we don't have nobody out there fighting for the planet. I have to fight for the planet because I need hope. Like, do people really think that this is somehow what I want to do every day? That this is somehow fun, what I do each day? Any idea how sick to my guts I am all day, every day, with this endless barrage of lies and deception and mass murder and ecocide, genocide, for sure. The only outcome of hiding this is an ecocide and a genocide. The only solution is go to war against Fukushima and nuclear in general. Everything nuclear has to be stopped. There's no middle ground here. We're way down the road. And you can't give up. You can't throw in the towel. You can't say, I'm overwhelmed. You can't say, there's no way to do it. You can't say words like that. You can't. Because that's not true. There's a solution to everything. All you got to do is get rid of the chicken eggs or gut up and do it. The solution, nobody telling the truth, was me working like a dog every day. Me begging every day. Every fucking video begging for people to donate to me so I can build the operation. To educate some people. To put out the truth in a platform and a format that would encompass enough of it to educate the average person. And I'm under siege nonstop. I raised $115 on the weekend. And I'm going to head back out on the ocean on the Fukushima expeditions for lives. Alone. Lost at sea again. For many, many months. Why the media slaughters us because I'm not here to fight back each day. And while I'm out there, they'll be slaughtering me all over the internet. They'll be just smearing me and attacking me and vilifying me and demonizing me like they've done every day that I was out there the last time when no one would defend me. And I got to go in all these weird little tiny spots and find an internet connection, get out and beg people for enough money to continue. Because people won't do it regularly. I have to get out there every day and every week and beg that every chance I get. And when I'm on the ocean, I don't get that chance. It's terrifying what I'm trying to do. It's terrifying that I'm not going to have the ability to be able to relax. It's terrifying I'm not going to have enough money when I leave that I want, the next port I get to with an internet connection, I'm going to have to beg people for money for months while I'm on the ocean, every opportunity I can find a connection. It's horrifying. And then no one cares in the media or the academic world. Everybody's too busy attacking me and vilifying me and demonizing me and trying to stop me from trying to save them and their children, their friends, their families, and their loved ones, and their futures, their immediate futures. How did we get this evil? How did the worst event on the planet become something to not worry about? How did the person telling the truth become the bad? How did I become, the only person out there pumping the truth out, become the bad person in every journalist and academic's eyes and the people that are willing to believe them and the authorities? How did I become the bad person? By striving every day to help them and help you and help this planet and the other 8 million species. How do I become so evil when I do this every day? And I do it honestly, and I do it correctly, and I do it without falter. I do it without... I have fear all day. I have fear. I'm going to live in fear every day. I live in fear every night. I still got to gut up. I'm under siege nonstop, but I still got to gut up every day and do the job. Even if no one's going to support me, I still got to gut up and do this job every day. I got to, because if I don't, we lost the only person on the planet. And you might not say I'm rational, but by saying we got to get rid of these people, that's not rational. Of course it is. We shouldn't stop the lawyers. We shouldn't stop the murderers. We shouldn't stop the ecocide. What are you, like, what world are you living in? Ice wall fails to freeze the toxic water built up at Japan's Fukushima nuclear power plant. It's hemorrhaging out of the nuclear power plant all the time. That's why it failed. You went through 260,000 people you claim to build an ice wall that doesn't even exist in the capacity that you claim it is. Town where nobody's home. Fukushima community struggling to survive. 7 years after nuclear disaster, 50,000 people have yet to return to their homes. As if that was a bad thing. As if anybody looked at their home and their farmlands and said, "Come on, honey, they picked up all the bags." Do you, like, just because a journalist says that doesn't mean it's okay to go back. Why would you trust a journalist? How could you be that naive? How could you be that stupid? How could you be that gullible to trust an academic or a journalist? You humans. How could you do this? How could you take the only planet in the solar system with life and destroy it in just a less than 7 years? How can you sit there and let that happen? How can you pretend that somehow someone's going to solve it? How can you have all these fantasies that they got technology to solve what they got done, and then pacify yourself by thinking that that is a solution by not raising your voice? In the one time in the history of mankind we could use our voices, everybody's afraid of it. I don't want to be on a camera. I don't want my name out there. I don't want someone looking at me. But you get online, you demonize me. You hide away and you vilify me. You won't even put your names on the article because you're cowards and you know what you're doing. But you can't tell your friends and your family you're a monster. You got to pretend that you're human. Because that's all you can do. You can pretend. You can't be a human like me. You can't sit in front of a camera like me. Because you're not human like me. You don't even know what being a human is, do you, people? You journalists. Fucking journalists. Academic. You're all in for a friggin' ride coming up, I can assure you. Yokoyama is one of the 6 retirees who formed the squad 5 years ago, partly to allay the concerns of homeowners about potential break-in and fires. He sold a big chunk of his land for an intern site to store nuclear waste bags on. And yet he thinks he's somehow... Because we don't have many years ahead of us anyway. You can get leukemia tomorrow if you eat radioactive food today. So cancer might show up, but leukemia, which is a blood cancer, white blood cells displaces the oxygen molecules. The red carrying oxygen, nutrition carrying blood cells are displaced. That's leukemia. And you can get leukemia overnight from eating radioactive food or being in a radioactive environment. You piece of shit, whatever you are there. You fucking dummy. Almost every day they travel from their new homes, 1 or 2 hours away, their new homes, 1 or 2 hours away, new homes, to conduct voluntary patrol. He expects the rest of his family will stay away once the situation put back to relative normality. Relative normality. Somehow this is relative normality. Ghost towns. And everything else is full of bags everywhere you go. Hundreds of thousands of sites. There's normality. For starters, it won't be a case of simply moving back into their old home, because his property is part of a parcel of land earmarked to become an intern storage facility for nuclear waste. Oh, now they're going to call it nuclear waste. You can't even go back to your graveyards, but he's going to make a buck, so everything is cool. Don't worry about it. Residential homes being built for 50 households, but not his. It tends to be the older residents who wish to return because they're the easiest to trick, I guess, and manipulate and deceive. And that's the show, basically, for today. Here's another one. She commutes from Minnesota to run her business called Grandma's Kitchen, which serves meals to the residents and workers. The people that are picking up 30 million one-ton bags who are the victims of society. How can anybody think this is acceptable? How can a journalist out there ever look anybody in the face again? How can an academic ever look anybody, including their own, into their eyes again? How can you do that? How does that work? And so the last story is Simon Fraser University study finds no adverse effects on the BC coast following the Fukushima nuclear accident. Man, oh fucking man. Now, I'll bring you a video of Simon Fraser University and disgusting parasites. Such disgusting people. This should humiliate you if you're a Canadian, that these people actually exist. Simon Fraser University, eh? I got a clip here. I'll bring it up for you in a minute. As soon as I can find it. Maybe I won't even find it in my luck. Maybe that's a good thing, though. I can take a few people I like to find that I don't want to find, because if I find them, I'm going to break their fucking necks. I ain't going to worry about it. So he says no effects upon the British Columbia, Canada coastline. I, on the other hand, went out there and done the whole coastline. The arrows are representations of it. And as you can see, the pictures over here are before and the pictures behind me after of the British Columbia coastline. So when Simon Fraser says there's no harm, look at the pictures over there, look at the pictures behind me that I took, and you can see that it was an extinction event for British Columbia. It's as simple as that. You can go over to my website, TheNuclearProctologist, and download those pictures you're looking at, the before and after. Take them to your local marine biologist. And if they lied to you, well, don't say I didn't warn you. So there's the before, here's the after. Yet Simon Fraser is saying that there's no harm. And we got a video of this guy saying it's like a banana, it's like a potato chip, that is like walking in sunshine, that's like getting on an airplane, that's like sleeping next to somebody, etc., etc. At Simon Fraser University, why the audiences are laughing their guts out about it. Let me just find a clip before we finish out for the day, I suppose. Just because if I don't play the clip, everybody calls me a liar. Dana didn't play the clip. He could do it. He got the clip. You know, Dana, he's freaking excellent. He could find the clip. He didn't show you because he's trying to hide something. That's all he can ever say about me. They can't say the truth about me. There's another way to do this. Hang on. Problem with me is I have so much information. So much. Like, woo! I'm such a busy boy over the years. It's amazing what I've gathered up. Let me see if I can find that clip before we call it a day. Hang on. Probably not possible because I'm too angry. Well, I don't know if anger is the right word for it. I don't think anger does it justice of what really is going on here. I don't think people are capable of understanding the contempt that this planet. Maybe that's where it's telling. I don't know. Oh, yeah, that's where it's telling. There we go. We'll find it. Simon Fraser University. Now, they had put out, I'm probably not going to find it, but just before the end of the show, let's see if I can. And my computer's stalling. It'll catch up. Yeah, I got too much computer stuff. That's a little heartbreaking. Well, we'll pick up that story tomorrow, I guess. And we'll have the video ready then. My goodness, I got so much. It's sickening, eh? Let me see what she said.
My colleague, Joe Mangano, and I used only governmental data, that is by the U.S. government's EPA and CDC. And by comparing the deaths before Fukushima for 14 weeks and after Fukushima, and then expanding on the data, we found that there has been an increase in deaths in the United States. This has been corroborated by findings of deaths, particularly of children younger than 1 year in British Columbia.
So British Columbia, we've seen an increase of infant mortality. But Simon Fraser University says no adverse effects. Yet I went out and documented the whole coastline and the Fukushima expeditions. And then we're going to head back out with the 2 Zodiacs and the sailboat in just a few weeks when I can get my act together. Because I don't know what else to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I can't give up. I can't slow down. I can't take a chance that somebody else is going to show up. But deep inside my soul, I feel that if I go out there and take on the whole coastline and document it, we're going to put BAM 2020 Olympics on my sails. Probably this week, hopefully. That's going to cost me $1,000 or $2,000, I bet you. And then we're going to go up and we're going to go into every community with those sails up. All summer long, we're going to wake this fucking planet up. And I don't know what to say in the context. I don't know how to say how disappointed I am in journalists and academics, or how much contempt I fucking have for you, or how much hatred I have now. Actual hatred for you. It's moved beyond contempt now and disgust. and move to fear. And the fear breeds the hatred, like it will for everybody else in the near future on this planet. Not in the far future, but in this next couple of years at most. Before the Olympics, this planet is going to be a different world forever. Journalists will be an extinct species coming up. And hugs for everybody that found the stream. And extra thanks to Elaine, your moderator in the blue, Shanikin775, and everybody out there that joined the conversation or is joining the stream or is watching it later. Strontium Milks, he's a blogger, folks. Check him out. And Organic Slant is out there. He's blogging. There's several people out there, but not many. And hi to everybody. Hugs for everybody. And my apologies for all the cursing and swearing and crying and whining and sniveling and yelling and begging. Because that's all I can do. Then that's what I'm going to do, obviously, right? I can't sit in silence, pretend that it's not happening. And I can't turn my back on as it's happening. I can't pretend everything is okay when everything is in disarray. I can't pretend that picking up 30 million one-ton bags and moving children back in is acceptable. I'm revolted by that concept. When I head out there on that ocean, it just takes one fuck up and I lose everything, including all the equipment and me in the boats. So I'm not allowed to make mistakes. You can make mistakes all day long in your life, but I'm not allowed to make any in my life. And in the future, I'll be the most scrutinized person in history of humanity, and that I'll stand to that scrutiny 100%. And the world will know that they had one person on this planet that fought for them and warned them and went to war against the bullies and the thugs and the cowards, aka the nuclear industry. When everybody else stood silent, Dana and a small band of people stood tall for the man and refused to lie down. That's our legacy. And that we accomplished something special. We gave hope to this planet. And we pointed out the evilness of our academics and the hideousness of our journalists and hung our head in shame and humiliation that they were allowed to exist. Shame on them. And hugs for you. We'll see everybody tomorrow. We'll post a link tonight or tomorrow morning. Take care, folks. Desolation comes upon the sky. Now I see fire.